Good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for the honorable judges. So, before I start my speech, let me introduce myself. My name is Pratama. So, our motion today is this House will abolish primary and middle school years that group children based on age and instead group them by the competency and intelligence. So, I'm from the government team, so I strongly agree with our motion today. Okay, so let me tell you about the definition of primary and middle school. Based on Cambridge Dictionary, primary school is a school for children from the age of about 5 to 9 or an elementary school. And meaning of the middle school is a school that intermediate between elementary school and high school. So talking about status quo right now, mostly all of school in this world already apply this method that to group the student based on their competency and intelligence. Right now era, let's say that Indonesia already applied this method in every primary and middle school from long time ago, and right now Indonesia still use this method because it be very effective. Such as like actually children that already about 8 years old. Some move to the second grade of primary school, but because their competency and intelligence is not enough to reach the second grade, or they are fail in the first grade of primary school, they can move to the second grade, and it also happen in the middle school. And also for the another example, children that already 10 years old actually move to the fourth grade, but somehow because just inside to the school, of course he must repeat the lesson from the first to understand the most basic lesson that just directly inside to the fourth grade. It just make him difficult and don't understand about the fourth grade lesson. Okay, so parameter that I use right now is for all the primary and middle school in this world. So let's be talking about my first argument. Okay, so why we ask the government agree that to abolish primary and middle school based on age, instead group them by competency and intelligence. So my first argument is to make the children easier to understand about the lesson based on their competency and intelligence. So what is the reason? As we know, every grade in primary and senior high school that have their own level of difficulty, higher the grade, higher also the level of difficulty. For example, we just learn about plus and minus in the math when we in the first grade, and in the second grade we learn about times and divide, and in the third grade we learn about to mix that in one question, and it will be more difficult based on how high the grade than that the children about. So if the children that already worthy based on his competition and intelligence, he can continue to the higher grade. But if the children not worthy based on their competency and intelligence, of course they can continue to the higher rank, the higher grade. Even his age actually already in the next grade. So why we must do this method is because every children that have their own level of competency and intelligence. So school must group that student based on their competency and intelligence to make them easier to understand about what they actually can do in their age right now. And how if we not apply this method in primary school and middle school? What happen is the children will force to learn about the lesson that's difficult than before, that actually they still don't understand about their last lesson. How could it be? Before I already said that every grade that have different difficulty. So if the student that already fail in their last grade, how about the next grade? How of course it will be worse, and they are more confused to catch and understand about the lesson in the next grade. So the student will be feel burdened and harder to understand about the lesson in the next grade. So why we must rule out the age? It's because how all of the age is not guaranteed that the competency of the intelligence is higher. For the simple example, people who are or children who already in the grade 6, but he moved the class just because his age that actually he don't understand about anything. We compare with the children that's grade 4 that already understand about all of the lesson from what he's get from the first grade. Of course the fourth grade student is easier to understand about the lesson or the next lesson. So for the conclusion is we can force the children to learn about what they're actually will difficult to understand about because because they fail or still don't understand about their last lesson grade. It's better if we group the children based on their intelligence and competency, and the student learn to the higher grade, their competency and the intelligence is worthy to continue to the next grade and success in the last grade. Okay, so my second argument is we strongly agree that to abolish primary and middle school that based on age, instead group children based on their competency and intelligence is to make the student can found and know about their real ability, and teacher is easier to and not confused to apply the method of the teaching of how the way to effective to teach the student. Okay, so what is the reason? We know that if the children move to the next grade, of course the teacher will give the new lesson that have a correlation with what the student already learned in the last grade. So if the student that already understand about their last lesson, teacher don't need to repeat the lesson just because they still don't understand. Of course it will be waste many time. So if they already done with their lesson, teacher just continue the lesson without repeat the lesson. So it will be more efficient, and all the and the on and all the other students will not also repeat the lesson just because one of some students that still don't understand about the last lesson. The teacher also just will teach the student with the method that based on the student grade and be easier to teach. So based on my explanation about our motion today, we strongly agree that this House will abolish primary and middle school that group the children that's based on the age, instead group children based on their competency and the intelligence. Thank you.